Well, ever since I was a little girl, I loved little tiny things. I loved little dolls, little animals. I grew up in apartments, so that's the only kind of pet we could have were gerbils, hamsters. I just love little things, and I used to make clothes for them. I just liked recreating this small world for fantasy world for these little animals of mine. So that's kind of what inspired this ornament, was to kind of create that fantasy child world again. The idea of putting them into cookie cutters, I also love to bake. I have my grandmother's old aluminum cookie cutters. So that kind of inspired me too. I thought, well, it'd be really cool to like create a scene inside these old cookie cutters. This was actually based on an ornament that was not considered to be a series. And this is the ornament, and it's a little mouse inside a star-shaped cookie cutter. Anyway, they didn't make very many of these. I think only like 2,000 or something. And they sold really well, and people loved it. So based on the popularity of this ornament, they decided, well, we should make this a series. So I was like, yay, because I have lots of ideas for it. So anyway, that's how the first in the series came into being. This guy is in a little Christmas tree cookie cutter, and he's sledding down a icing hill, and he's on a little ice cream sandwich with candy cane runners. There's lollipop trees and ice cream cone mountains and gumdrop and chocolate little bushes and things. Anyway, he's having a grand time. I sculpt by hand. I'm kind of one of the dinosaurs, and I still sculpt in clay. I think I'm the only one in the studio who does. Most of the other artists sculpt in either wax or do it digitally. And actually, part of this ornament was done digitally. I gave a drawing to one of our production design artists, Orville Wilson, and he made the cookie cutter shape for me digitally, and then we output it, and then I sculpted in clay inside. I use dental tools and handmade tools and magnifiers, and it's you have to have a lot of patience. But I love it. And, well, I don't know if I'm supposed to give any hints, but I just finished sculpting the second in the series, and it's another little mouse. It's always going to be a little mouse, and he is in a heart shape, and it has something to do with writing a letter to Santa. So I don't know if I can say that, but I did, so there you go.
John Francis did the first several ornaments in the Lighthouse series that we had done a few years back, and they were just terrific little pieces of artwork, a lot of fun. Well, he retired, and so we had to end the series, but almost immediately we started talking about, okay, well, now what can we do with lighthouses? This particular ornament, that's the first in the series, was inspired by actually some West Coast lighthouses, particularly those in Oregon. I look at books, you get on the internet and do research. It's fun to learn the history of different lighthouses. You can get in there, and there's lots of ghost stories about lighthouses. I just love architecture. I love neat architecture. Different architecture in lighthouses really provide a beauty that you just don't find sometimes in today's architecture. The series from this one on, being the first in the series, will have the magic cord technology, and so you'll be able to use those magic cords for years to come. They'll probably continue with the Santa and the polar bear. And the polar bear kind of offers different opportunities to engage Santa in. Now, some have teased that he's just waiting for Santa to come down and then he's going to eat him, but I don't think that was my intention at all to begin with. So I've already sculpted 2013's ornament, and so it's actually in production. And I'll tell you one thing, it has kind of a candy cane stripe going up, kind of like Cape Hatteras there in one of the tall towers there in North Carolina. That's a design element. Now hopefully I won't get in trouble for sharing that.
I'm the lucky guy that gets to work on this ornament, which is the first in series. For me, actually, as an artist, it's like living a dream because I always wanted to be a Disney animator or to animate Disney things. And through Hallmark Cards, I got to work on a Mickey Mouse. He's in an animated position, and he's a series. That means there's more of them to come. This series is going to be built around, they call them shorts, Mickey Mouse cartoons, and most of them were made in the 1930s. This one was made in 1937. When I got to work on this, designing it, I got to watch the movie over and over in my work area. I got to watch a Disney cartoon at work, and I studied it and studied it. What's the most appealing single image I could create as a keepsake ornament? And so this is what we rested on, not just me, but there's a team. And just why? Because it looks like the best moment. It has lots of animation, and it would look good in a series if there were more of them. And things to look for are the name of the movie on one foot and the copyright on the other. When I work on an ornament like a Disney character, there are style guides, and I keep this right in front of me when I'm working, and this style guide actually shows the do's and don'ts, what's correct and what's incorrect. I can tell you exactly how many stripes and the angles. I can tell you about the angle of his nose or the shape of his eyes, how close they're together. Well, actually, at this moment, I'm working on the second in the series, and I can't tell you too much, but maybe one hint is that he has a feather in his hat. Is that too much? Gulp. But if you're real into Mickey Mouse and you study it and you look for a feather, you might kind of guess what the next one is. I get joy every time I work on one of these things. It's like a little kid living a dream.
This is Trimming the Tree Frosty Friends ornament, and it is a magic cord ornament. It's the first time I've ever worked on one, so it was really fun to get to do music and lights that really works with the song. It's in sync with it. It's really quite magical. Well, on this one, I decided it'd be kind of fun to use a lot of Frosty's friends to include more animals than we've done in one ornament. So this was my opportunity to try to include as many as I could. And the base gave me the opportunity to do that. Usually if there's an underwater creature, it's peeking up through the ice on Frosty, so you just kind of see a part of him. So this was a chance to do the whole body of the creatures, such as the whale or the seal, and to see them swimming under the water. Have two different environments, like a above ground environment and the underwater environment. Each time you start an ornament, it's different. What kind of things you decide to put in it or what inspires you at that moment. I like to add mixed materials to the ornament, and so that's kind of where the trim came from, the beaded trim. Because I really wanted it to look like Frosty was decorating the tree, not just the animals are holding ornaments, so they're just kind of interacting with the tree a little bit. But I really wanted it to look like it was decorating it for sure, so he has a beaded garland that he's adding to it. The light and sound in the magic cord ornaments was really fun and exciting because it was neat to see how long of a song we could do and how much of a light show we could create. So yeah, if I get the opportunity to do another magic cord, I definitely would jump on the chance.
We actually have a number of people in the studio who do licensed, even Disney. But I have been doing Mickey for a long time, almost all my career here at Hallmark. In this case, the part that I did was I did the digital models of each of the characters. The programs we use are basically the same types of programs that are used in making animated films, Pixar and the Shrek movies, those types of things. We're using some of those programs to do the ornaments now. We do have machines that will output these digital sculpts so we can hold it in our hand even before we send it to our vendors. When I finally do get to see the ornament in real form, it's really pretty exciting. That's kind of the culmination of the process. We had to think about positioning how they would go together so that when we did assemble them, nobody was sticking their arm through the next character in front of them so that each could be assembled in a different way, so they did have to fit a certain space in front and behind them. Other than that, it was just trying to capture the expressions of someone having fun, or the different reactions that these characters do have to, the thrill of going down a snow-covered hill in a toboggan. I think my favorite character in this group has always been Mickey. He's the leader. He's the one who really sets the tone for everybody else. You wouldn't necessarily put Mickey in the same situation that you might put Donald for an individual ornament or for a certain scene or concept. So knowing them certainly helps us when I concept and sculpt an ornament. That kind of philosophical debate does happen when we're designing these ornaments. Disney certainly thinks about it when we propose an idea. And so we do have to think about that to be true to the characters.